The Benins have never disagreed at one point in their history that we never went to Ife. But we always said that the boy or the child that came with us from Iwurhuohna, his father is a Benin man. And the Yorubas doesn't want to talk about Oduduwa and where he came from, other than the fact that he fell from heaven. Alright, because when you don't have facts to back up history, you start to propagate, you start to give mythological identity to a real person. So I think that's what happened. First, I want to make it clear that the other relationship that the Benins and the Yorubas had was that we gave them their first king, and in return, the first king, who was the Oduduwa, brought his son back to Benin. That started the second dynasty. Otherwise, everything that Yoruba has in terms of almost all the structured kings of Yoruba ancestry traces their ancestry to Oduduwa. It therefore means that most of the prominent kings in Yoruba land are ancestrally Benin. Alright, so I want to first of all establish that, because by the time we are talking about how Akalaka left Benin, and some people said, okay, fine, Akalaka, yeah, the Benin man, but the Benin themselves are Yoruba. So I want to first of all establish that we have had a structured monarchy for a period of 834 years before Yoruba ever had Oduduwa. So, and we had 31 kings before Oduduwa ever appeared in the history of Yoruba. So I wonder how a people who had close to 900 years of history, structured leadership, goes to a foreign land to take a people who had no leader to come and lead over them. So it just doesn't make sense. So Benins, other than we gave them Oduduwa, Benins don't have any other relationship to do with the Yoruba people. So first I needed to establish that, because I seen some of our brothers argue on Facebook as to Benin coming from Yoruba and all that, so I wanted to pull that first. Now, Benin, as our brother said, is one of the largest empires in this part of the world. Of course, he mentioned Togo. Actually, the empire got to Ghana. Alright, it terminated at the mouth of River Volta. So when you stretch it down from River Volta down to River Forcados and Bayelsa, it's almost taking half of the entire West Africa. So our ancestors dominated almost half of the entire West Africa. So that's how mighty we have history, and it's in history we should be proud of. We shouldn't be shying away from that history and connecting our history to Igbos who don't have history to brag about. They don't have history. They're trying to force this old Inri priest, some set of priests who were never really kings, who never had a kingdom, don't think of having ever to build an empire. So these are some of the things that we must look critically. We understand that for whatever the British structure this country to favor some ethnic nationalities as against us. The only crime we ever committed as a people was that when the British, the foreigners, were invading this part of the world, we were about the only tribe that stood against them and said that you are a foreigner, you can't take to us in our land. And so because of that, they never forgave us. So some of the militias that was used to conquer Benin, Yorubas were part of the military forces that was used to conquer Benin. The Hausas were also part of the military forces they used to conquer Benin. So in order for them to entirely submerge the very history of our ancestors, they had to remove that power in a way and put it in the hands of their allies. We are not their allies, we will never be. And so they now gave them the tag of majority. But we are trying to bust their lies by identifying all these Benin people who left for different historical reasons. It could have been that the house was not favorable. Obviously, if the house is too big, they are bound to be quarrels. And when there are quarrels, you just pack your load and leave. It's a good thing. If Akalaka had not left, Benin Empire would have gotten to this part. So it's actually a good thing that some of these great warriors left for different historical reasons to establish a country of their own. So it is good for the expansion of the Benin ideology. So I am more than just being excited to be here, to be able to tell all of us that we must find a way to break that barrier of differences. I think that's what the British did to us. They try to create a barrier. Oh, you are from Edo State, you're from River State. Automatically, even if an Igbo man is in River State with you, the Igbo man seems closer to you than your real people in Edo State. So, creation of regions and creation of states was a systematic way the British used in creating divisions amongst ancestrally connected people like us. So we are more than excited because sometimes some persons come out online and say that we are not Benin, even if we know that in reality they are. But because of it is easier for you to now identify with the so-called majority tribe and then to now identify with the so-called minority tribe, who in real sense is not minority. So I'm going to prove here that in real sense the Benins are not minority. Alright, it's just that we have Benin in Iwurhuohna version, then we have Benin version, then we have Benin Asan version, we have Benin Ekbeye version, we have Benin in part of Ishekiri version, we have Benin in Iwurhuohna, we have Benin in Isoko, we have Benin in Degema. We're in Degema November last year. We were well received. They're proud Benin people and they are very, very proud about it. We've been to Ika, we've been to Anima, and we've had fellowship with kings, Iseluku, Onichaovo and all that. We have fellowship with some of their kings. They all testify to their Beninians. Now, even cutting across to the west, the old Benin Empire had a boundary with the old Oyo Empire at Otun, present-day Ekiti State. So Ekiti, it's almost the boundary between Ekiti and Kwara State. So that means almost the entire Ekiti State down to this way was all controlled at one point by ancestors. So we had Ondo, they're proud Edo people. There are some Yoruba influences and all that. But a lot of population in present-day Ondo State still attested to their Benin origin. So obviously Lagos, we founded, ancestors founded and owned Eko. It's with their deception. They're trying to tell us that there were people who settled there, and the Benin people came there to fight them and remove them from their land. That wasn't true. My argument is that what was that name of that land before the Benin named it Eko, which is the original name. So, and what was the name of the war? When you fight war with aborigines, there was supposed to be a recorded event that led to that war. No such war. There wasn't a formal name. No record that the Benin met people there. The only record that we have is that when one of our ancestors, who was a seafarer, trained in Portugal, Oduduwa, when he got there, because he was expanding the empire through the coastline, he was the one who expanded the empire certainly to Ghana. He needed, because the house was now very far, Benin was very far off, he needed to establish a camp so as to station part of its military wings to further expand the empire coastline westward. And eventually, definitely it would have been called a camp. What the Benin's call camp is a coup. Alright, so which is the original name for that place, Lagos. So these are more than facts and proofs that one way or the other we are not minority. That's why that should be our focus, that we are not minority. We can only be minority as a people if we start to segregate ourselves just the way it was designed by the British to separate us into different ethnic nationalities. While we maintain our present ethnic nationalities, we must associate with what is most important, blood, all right, where we ancestrally come from, because that is exactly where our history starts from. And they're trying to tell you that Akalaka is an Igbo name. We said no, it isn't. But the only difference is that since this name has passed through years of history, there are bound to be a little twist of names. The only thing that was missing it's the L and the N. In Benin, it's Akalaka. All right? Akalaka means something precious. That's what the Benin calls something precious. So it must have been a very precious warrior to one of the other. And that's why. So basically, the second song, Oba. All right. We have a town called Oba, and we have a town called Oba.
In America?
Yes, in Benin.
In Benin.
Yeah. Probably that second song would have been named from the hometown, which we believe came from. That's Oba. So one of these days, when we host you guys, we'll take you to your official community. And so that you can familiarize them. Yeah, historical facts. We are not going to beckon on propaganda. We're not going to beckon on a recent British creation. We're going to beckon on something that has existed for more than 400 to 500 years. We're going to beckon on facts. It is not a time where people can separate us because they believe that they are majority or they believe they have an agenda that doesn't go beyond the figment of the imagination. The real deal is actually us and not them. And we must understand that until it was the conquest of our ancestors that gave birth to Nigeria. The conquest. If Benin was not conquered, there wouldn't have been in place a country called Nigeria. So inherently we gave birth to Nigeria. So, and we have tasted sovereignty for more than 1,700 years as a established country before we lost our sovereignty in the year 1897. So, a group of people who doesn't even know what a country looks like. Quote me anywhere. It's not recorded that Igbo ever had any sovereign. They never had leadership, a structured leadership. When you don't have a structured leadership, you can't have a place called a country or a nation. So, but our ancestors had a country, a nation, structured. Then we perfected monarchical government for a period of almost 2,054 years and counting. And it is in that light that we have been a sovereign nation until we lost our sovereignty in 1897 to the British. So we understand what a country should look like, and we are supposed to be the one to tell those who doesn't understand what a country to look like how a country should look like, not the other way around. It's just like a 2-year-old baby telling a 70-year-old man what old age or experience of life is. And we must tell them, not with quarrel, not with propaganda, but with the truth, that while we are sovereign, while we will come together as a people, when we come together as a people, that is when we can really see the beauty of being together, of the beauty of having to build a nation together. So it is possible in future. We're envisaging it. We're going to work together with IFM.
Sure.
We're envisaging that when there should be clamoring of the true country, it has to be all the Benin descendants coming together to actually chart a common cause for themselves, not some bunch of miscreants coming online to disturb the peace of an already established country like Nigeria. So I want to thank all of you for this little time, and I like talking history very well.
Can you tell us the meaning of Iwurhuohna?
Okay. All right. This is how it works. This is how it works. Now, if a father has circumstances to give names to our children, it happens. It's still till date, and so that would have accumulated. It's only circumstances that warrant a Benin man to give Onaiwu or Iwurhuohna. Onaiwu, this one will not die. Iwurhuohna, death will not take this one. Descendant, however, you take it, and Iwurhuohna is actually perfect, pure Benin word. That means death will not take this. So, because of the fact that they know that you are pure Benin people, they try to give you an alien antecedent by making the word Ikwere stick. But it is the duties now lies upon us. FFK came out and challenged the entire Yoruba race that from this day forward, I will no longer be known as a Yoruba man, because I haven't discovered what Yoruba means from Hausa Fulani Yariba, that means treacherous people, people not straightforward. However, they're not straightforward though, but I don't know whether that name actually stuck with them. It's affecting them. Yeah. So he just felt that, yeah, the name has a way of changing people's destiny, that we are not truthful people. So, okay, the only way the name could not affect other younger generations. Let's go back to our original word, probably Aku, or more Oduduwa. But it still will show that they are also Benin. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that Akalaka was the man from a community called Oba, alright, who left for the reason of being uncomfortable. He wasn't about the older person. Even the founder of the warring kingdom also left. He was a crown prince, he was the next Oba of Benin, by virtue of his right as a royalty. But there was a problem. He gave a counsel to his father that some very influential nobles disagreed with. And they sworn to his father that no matter what, when his father sojourned, Benin kingship is hereditary, father to son, but they said, we are not going to allow your first son to take this one, because if he can give you an advice as a crown prince, if it becomes the Oba, he's probably going to kill everybody in this kingdom. So we will not allow this. His father knew that if he passes on his first child, will not be allowed to become the next Oba. So instead, he now told him, be the king beside the water. In Benin, that one means Ogiame. So Ogiame, if you hear Ogiame, yes, you'll not worry. Ogiame is not an Ishakiri word, it's a pure Benin. Ogi, king, Amen, water. Ogiame. So be the king beside the water in my vast empire, since Benin don't like getting too close to water. So you go beside that water and become a king there. So the original kingship title for the kings of Warri is not Olu, it's Ogiame. The present one, a friend who were with him 3 weeks ago. So Ogiame Ikenwoli. Alright? When we try to give him the grand patron of Association of Great Benin Descendants 3 weeks ago, I think the video is out there. And he said, I can't accept that. If my father, the Oba of Benin, is still there, I can be the grand patron of an association that is an umbrella to all Great Benin Descendants. I accept to be a patron, but the Oba of Benin, my father, is the grand patron. Just like the Oni of Ife is supposed to also do to the Oba of Benin, just like Alafin of Oyo, which is every Alafin of Oyo is a younger brother of every Oba of Benin. That is not in dispute. Alafin of Oyo doesn't argue that. Oromia, a Benin prince, came to Benin, gave birth to a son, and left. Went to Oyo, gave birth to other 2 sons, Ajaka and Shango. So every Alafin of Oyo, the 2 lineage or the 2 houses that produces every Alafin of Oyo is Ajaka and Shango. And these Ajaka and Shango are younger brothers of Eweka, who was born in Benin. So every Alafin of Oyo is the younger brother of every Oba of Benin. So these prominent kings understand. I think we did a press conference recently, Emeka, where we're trying to tell the owner of Ife that the matter that concerns Oduduwa, it should no longer be discussing it, because we understand that every news of Ife are not connected to Oduduwa. They're not connected to Oduduwa. So those who are connected to Oduduwa should talk on Oduduwa matters, not a stranger who was meant to, because every children of Oduduwa left the house, then I said Oni means someone who stays at home, a homestayer. So, and let me not bother you with all that. I love history. But the point I'm trying to raise is that even those ethnic nationalities that tells you Jack and Jill of how great they are were submerged. The questions we ask, I will give you 15 different books where it was stated different times where Benin defeated every of these ethnic nationalities around. When the Oba of Benin visited the Sultan of Sokoto last year, the Sultan of last 2 years, I think, the Sultan of Sokoto said something. He said, aside politics, Oba Benin is #1. In closed door. And someone who was there actually told me this 2 weeks ago. He said, aside politics, you are #1 in this country. He said, because during the days of the Sultanate, when it was expanding, only one king stopped. Alright? The Caliphate of the Fulani. It was the Oba of Benin. And it was not through war, as a matter of fact. I remember the story very well. It was Obadola, who was the father of Oba Buramen, Oba that was the post to Akalaka. What happened was that he heard that there were some people were ravaging through the northern part, almost entering his vast empire. He said, I'm not going to give them war. This is not important. But go and tell them that with all their war conquests, they should dig the soil under their feet. If they find a red sand, know that it is my territory. They should back off. That was the only message the father was sent. And eventually, that's exactly what happened. So when the dog, if you get into almost Auchi, the dog, the sand, it was a red soil, and it was like, okay, this is the territory of this nigga. Sorry, I just didn't want to. This is the territory of this all-powerful king, and they went back. So in reality, politics have made traditional institutions not to know their mates anymore. Otherwise, nobody ever defeated the Benin ancestors in any war. Obviously, we're ravaging Igbo territories. That's the quarrel they still have with us. They don't like us because they said we made immense out of them, made slaves, sold them as slaves to the transatlantic. Yes, a lot of them emailed me that. Are you not saying that we can never forgive you people for what you people did to our ancestors? I told them that's imperialism. That's imperialism. If I'm stronger than you, I'll beat you and take everything. That's imperialism. So it wasn't. You can't blame me. You have to blame your ancestors for being weak.
Yeah, thank you.
You can't blame me, and that's the reality. You can't blame me. All right. So if you were able to beat my ancestors, you would have sold my ancestors as slaves. We defeated you and we sold you as slaves. Not just only them, we sold Yorubas as well. So that is imperialistic. Now I tell them, tell me any war fought between Benins and Yorubas, between Benin and Igbos, every other tribes around, that we were defeated. Nobody is able to tell. The only one war we lost was to the British in 1897. So it was a blow that was too devastating. You know, the people who was used to winning, they eventually lost. So we've been still grieving till recently when GBD came out and said, you can no longer grieve anymore. We have to tell the world that the Benin people have to come back in a very united format, and that's exactly what we're here. We're here to tell our Akalaka brothers, our Iwurhuohna blood brothers, that our relationship with them is not created by the British. It's ancestral, it is a bloodline relationship, and we are the very future of our land, and the onus lies upon us for we to take the bull by the horn by saying that whatever alien antecedent that has been given to us by whoever, we are saying capital rejetamenta to it, and this is who we are, this is who we must accept, and we must come together as one people to chart a futuristic goal for the greatness of the Iwurhuohna people and the Benin people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wonderful speech. I want to say some things. As you can see, look at the pride in me. Look at the names. Akalaka. Precious. We are precious people. Your Honor, death will not take you. Do you know what that means? Your foundation. That is why we are strong people. Death will not take us. Death will see us and run away.
Yes.
You see it? This is the source of our courage, source of our strength, our power. You see where we come from. You see this lineage of strong warriors, conquerors, people that subdued, people that call themselves majority tribes today. We are winners. We'll always be winners. They have never lost a war. Our ancestors have never lost a war. Has your honor ever lost a war?
No.
You see, that is why everything we do, we achieve it. Just like an FM, anything we want to do, we achieve it. We told people we bring industrialization, we did it.
Yes.
They doubted us, we did it.
Yes.
You see why we did it? Because we are precious and death can never kill our dreams.
Yes.
Oh. That is why we are successful. Yes. So, thank you very much for this wonderful speech. Mr. President, you really tried a lot to see our people learn a lot today. I just want please to bring up our Q&A session. Question and answers. Please don't be shy. Our brothers came all the way from Great Benin to see us. Please, everyone should ask a question. Anything at all. Please, now is the time to ask questions. The floor is yours. Please.
I have a call. Thank you.
Do I break the call, but the person sent you a message?
Okay.
We have one question.
Yes.
Don't worry, just go.
I affirm.
If you call, just send.
Run first. I affirm.
Yes, President, I'm so elated for hearing some of the things apart from you. Out there, people are saying so many things, especially the Isoma, we call them Isoma. Somebody like me, I'm always out there for them. But there is something. They also, because this is a content, this is a question they always throw to me, which I would also like to put it across to you now. From the books I've read concerning Great Benin Kingdom, I was made to understand that somebody from Onisha was a king, was an Oba, which is Iweka. That Iweka is from Onisha.
Okay, no worries.
It's an Igbo man.
Okay.
So that after all, an Igbo man from Anambra was an Oba of Benin. So please, I would like you to throw more light on this.
Okay, alright. That sounds funny. I've heard one or two persons raise that. You know, these people are very funny people. As a matter of fact, it's possible that that Iweka came from Eweka. First of all, there's not that Iweka in it's Eweka. And how you answer them is simple. You know, Benin kingship is straightforward. Unlike most other kingship, our own is express primogeniture, father to son, first surviving son. So what that means is that Iweka couldn't have. Eweka's father was Oromian. He was Oromian and an Igbo man.
No.
I think that answers the question.
Yes.
Abi? Yeah. So because it's Benin is hereditary from father to first surviving son. That means Eweka's grandfather is Oduduwa. Eweka's great grandfather is Obiso Owodo.
Okay.
These are not Igbos. So, except they want to tell us that Obiso Owodo was an Igbo man, Oduduwa was an Igbo man, Oromiya was an Igbo man. That would make Eweka an Igbo king. Alright? So I think we should move to the next question.
Thank you. Next question, please. Okay, we have two hands here, please.
Thank you very much, sir, for your historical insight. My question is, over the years, we believe that the Oduduwa people, and definitely there will be some kind of legend in terms of language, culture, and other social lifestyle. Although I know it has taken a very long period of time, definitely most of the present generation might have forgotten most of those cultures and languages. Please, can you just emphasize, like, getting to tell us more of those cultures, more of those human cultures that we are in similarity with the Benin?
Okay. Alright, I think that's a very good question. But the perfect way to answer it
They try. We are also on social media. We face the war all the time, and they try and say, okay, you guys said you came from Benin, but your languages are not similar. Your cultures are not similar. True. I give you a very good example. Very simple, very good example. The Oba of Lagos came out there all the time. He's a proud Benin. But the Oba of Lagos doesn't speak Benin. He speaks Yoruba. There are still some artillery, because since it's an offshoot of the Oba, there are still some concept of the monarchical evolution of the Iko people that still retains part of its Benin heritage, but not absolute. Some of the festivals being practiced there, they are more or less like a Yoruba festival, because when you are surrounded by people, for example, if your ancestors have migrated to probably Germany, I'm not going to say 300 years, this could be just 100 years. You're born to be behaving like German and speaking fluent German, no doubt about it. Alright? But it doesn't change the fact that you and I, Iwurhuohna. It doesn't. So languages are not instruments to showcase one's ancestral connections. Urhobos are ancestrally Benin, but they don't speak Benin anymore. Alright? They evolved. Isokos are also. Alright? The Germans are also. Alright? Part of these Yoruba speaking people are also Ikale and several other places in Yoruba land. They are also Benin people. I told you about Ga people. They are also Benin people, but they don't speak these languages anymore because your immediate environment tends to have more influences than your long-term environment. Alright? It's even a cultural thing. Alright? Now, there was a medical doctor, Dr. Aisha Hagosaki, is an historian, and he told me some time ago that the Benin's were very tall people, huge, tall. We take preferences on being physically built in the whole. He said, but we're no longer tall. He said it was just because one of our cuisine got missing. And one of those ingredients, whether pepper and all that, but in this case, salt. Now, what the old Benins were making as salt was a dried plantain back when you peel that plantain. So they'll dry it, alright? They'll dry it, then now mash it, and that becomes powder. That was their salt. Until one of the Oba, Iwurhuohna, went in traveling through the sea, now introduced salt about 600 years ago. So he was actually taking a DNA sort of sample. He's a retired medical surgeon, and said that that's where that particular cuisine that was added to our food, dietary pattern, affected our height. So it happens that if something at minute that was introduced or something that had a general effect on the eventually other future generations of the Benin, we're not talking about being surrounded by every other ethnic nationalities for over 500 years. I give 50 years. If you stay in Benin 50 years, you would have almost lost everything that is Iwurhuohna. I know you're ancestrally Benin, but you now begin to behave like us. I think that's exactly what has happened. Now, but what I can assure you, the ancient. Okay, sorry. The ancients, while GBD will be working with IFM, is that because we have not made practical move to studying the present culture and traditions of the Iwurhuohna people, their languages will not be able to do comparison and differences between these two ancestrally connected people until you start to speak Iwurhuohna to me frequently, and I begin to hear word, and I begin to say, that thing you said, see what it mean for Benin. In all your festivals, if we begin to attend it frequently, we'll now begin to see touches. I'm so certain that there are still touches of the traditions and culture Akalaka brought from Benin, Igbo, but they have not been a concerted effort to cultural study, what I call cultural study. I come to Iwurhuohna, if there's a festival going on, I sit down and see how it is being displayed. One went to a fair. There were, I was then, the Eze logo was there, like, I delivered a lecture publicly. I think it was the official inauguration of Oduduwa that brought Professor Oduduwa. I was there, I delivered a lecture. And before I started to deliver the lecture, they brought about 4 masquerades, and 2 of that masquerade dresses exactly like a coconute. We call them a coconute masquerade in Benin. Exactly. And I told them that these 2 masquerades are carbon copy of the masquerades we have in Benin. That are we sure that these masquerades are not from Benin? So they said no, not actually from Benin. That probably when Akalaka was living, he had a concept of how this masquerade was, and he was able to give them that concept. That's because we just spent 1 or 2 days with the Ekpeye people. So if we were able to do that with our people here, we would be able to see similarities in languages, similarities in our cultural practices, and they will now begin to x-ray all these things out and use it to build a more stronger relationship that we ought to have built even years before now. I don't know whether you understand. Yes. Thank you very much.
Sorry. To add to what my CJ has just said. Now, when you're talking about the similarities between the Benin culture and the Iwurhuohna culture, you should also take into cognizance that Akalaka had other children, Ogba, Ekpeye. And if you look at the Ekpeye people, the Ogba people, you would pick some things that would clearly indicate a Benin ancestry. When a vehicle come into the end, an Ogba man sat with us, and we got talking, and I told him, you guys are Igbo. He said, bro, no, we're not Igbo. We're from Benin. I said, really? He said, yes. He now said, our traditional ruler even is called Oba. Now, that's definitely not connected to Igbos in any way. And these are people who are in rivers here calling their traditional ruler Oba. He also told me, he said the first son, I think he said in his place or in one other riverine nationality here, he said the first son is called Osaru. Osaru, which is a pure Benin name. God has done it. He said, when we get to sit down more and bond more, we'll identify more of the similarities and have stronger, authentic arguments, not based on propaganda. Because some of us here are Puritans. If we are not related, we will tell you we are related, but we know we are, and we should build on our unity. Thank you.
I think this small talk, maybe to just use that it's really exciting and exciting. But before I go, as the representative of where you are, which is Oduduwa, I will also use this opportunity to permit me, sir, to welcome you once more officially. And one pertinent issue I want to just ask or raise is the issue of documentation, because like what he mentioned, I know I have a little bit of that history. I've read something like that, where when the Oduduwa was sending the son, after the son gave birth, the one he gave birth to couldn't talk, so he sent a gift to that one. When that rock, something like a pebble, broke, and now spoke. So as he spoke, that's where the gave him the name Ewata or something like that. So some of those things are rusty to us. We now that know some of these things is rusty. Is there a particular document or a book that will help those coming at our back, or maybe our children, when we start getting them, to learn these things, so to not what you're doing now will not phase out or go. And secondly, is there a regular kind of meeting where GBD try to, or national meeting where GBD carries a cross or spread his shoulders round, so that these persons, like we, the normal people, would also come and also familiarize ourselves, so that it will help also to give us that sense of belonging.
Alright, thank you very much. The first one, yeah, there are a lot of documented works on some of these things, but it is largely inadequate. I must admit. Not the relationship between Benin and Ife. That one is very largely adequate. I don't want to dwell on that so much. When we went to Ga, we met with their paramount king, the Ga merchant. I told him, His Majesty, that we are here to, first of all, tell you people that we are all connected, which he said, yes, we are. I said the second phase is for we to set up academic committees between Benin and the Ga people. That's exactly when I delivered a speech to the Oduduwa. That's exactly what I told him. I said, yes, the history of the Benin connection with the Shekiri people is a very straightforward thing. They don't get to argue that. But however, it's still inadequate. There should be more research that has to be done. So what I am proposing, I also proposed it to Professor Dula Apa, the President General of Iwurhuohna, that it's high time that every of these ethnic nationalities that traces their ancestry to Benin, we should find a committee that will set up a more like a research joint committee to put heads together to write a robust academic work documenting the interconnection, how these ancestors of these people left Benin, so that we can have a robust history, like an encyclopedia, that we can give to the future generations to learn from, so that they don't follow the path that we are following, because the path that we are on now is a very difficult one. We're trying to make that proper corrections, because if we miss it now, we might have the future generations that will agree for them to be called Igbo.
Dwelling on hearsays.
Yes, based on hearsays. So we must put things together. I agree. Some of this history are inadequately documented, but the onus now lies upon us with the scratch of ideas of history that we still have remaining to put a more elaborate and complex history together, so that the future generations can have something to back on. So I think that's the first question. Oh, is it the second?
That's the first question.
The second one was.
Second one was a general meeting.
Okay, the general meeting. Obviously, I think the River State coordinator of GBD is not here today. Yes. For breaking communications and all that. I couldn't reach him, but he was supposed to come. I will speak with the president.
Yes.
To allow IFM members to also participate in GBD meetings, because GBD is just a social-cultural group that with this more of history will connect all of us, so that through him he gets materials a lot from Benin. He can be able to constantly educate every of the moral people that come for that meeting, so that we can have a more enlightened people on our connection. So I think we have a River State GBD, Mr. Kenneth Ogu, is from Ekbeye, and we'll find a way for IFM to attend meetings, equally GBD members to attend IFM meetings as well, so that there can be that strengthening of bond. And by next year, I can assure all of you We are going to do something beyond summit. We're going to do something like a symposium, a seminar. It'll be 3 days. And what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be inviting professors from different historical background across this all Benin descendants to talk on how we can bring materials, to talk on our relationship and how we can gather materials to have a robust history that unites all of us. Thank you.
How many questions?
Yes.
1, 2. Any more after this? Okay, these 2 last questions. Please.
You know first.
First of all, thank you, President. Welcome to Iwurhuohna.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to ask, I want to bother you to help us spell the Benin version of Iwurhuohna so that some of us can have it.
Iwurhuohna, UWU.
No, I want to write it down. So,
Okay.
The first thing is you help us with the correct spelling of the Benin version of Iwurhuohna. The next thing I want to ask is, like my brother here said, so that we won't dwell on propaganda. I once heard that an Iwurhuohna street or clan or whatever exists in Benin. I want to know how true this is. The third thing I would request is, there's also this propaganda. I don't know if I should call it propaganda or fact, but I want us to, some of us will want to, when we talk, we want to be as bold as possible, knowing that we are saying the truth. They say when a Benin warrior or a Benin prince leaves Benin, that he is made to drop his culture, his language. How true is this? They say you're going to a new place, you are made, the culture of Benin puts it on you to drop the Benin culture or the Benin language. And most of us might have been using this in error, or without knowing we might be using the truth. So you are the next to everything Benin I can see today. So how true is this? Thank you.
Your third question is very tricky. I'll see what I can do about it. The first one is Iwurhuohna, UWUROIONA. Iwurhuohna.
UWUROIONA.
Iwurhuohna. Okay. Okay. There's a GHI. UWUGHIROIONA. Iwurhuohna.
Okay.
Yes.
UWUGHIROIONA. Iwurhuohna. Okay. That was the first question.
Yes, sir.
So the second one was
The second question, we've been told many times that an Iwurhuohna street or clan
Okay.
exists in Benin.
not as Iwurhuohna, but your father Akalaka has a street. Sometimes, like I said, circumstances, environment could be instances where names could be given. We have 3 streets, all interlocked. They are all adjacent. Akalaka Street. All right. Then we have a quarter. Laka. All right. Then we also now have a place called Ogbenalaka. What that means, it's called Ogbenalaka. What it inherently means, there's a quarter called Ogbe. That's the seat where the Oba is. Ogbe. Then where it meets Alaka, there's a junction, 4 junction. We call it Ogbenalaka. All right. So we believe that Akalaka would have been indigenous to that quarter. Where that quarter does not have It's not an ancestral home base for anybody. What it means is that nobody is ancestrally from that quarter. You could be from Ogba. Alright? If you have a function in the services of the palace, you'll be moved to that quarter. Ogbelaka. Alright? So we believe that the parents of Akalaka could have given birth to him around the Ogbelaka areas, both from ancestrally from Ogba, the information that we have. So that's why he had to name his second son, obviously, Ogba. But we call it Ogba. Just the same spelling, but just different pronunciation. Now, the third question is tricky. But however, I'm in the midst of my people. You know, there are things we don't say, but we cannot keep secret from our people. The Benin language in the old was ascribed as sacred. On no account should a foreigner who is not of Benin descent be allowed to speak the language. It was sacred. The language of the Ugisus. It is still a common problem that still affects us. That our language speaking still revolves around just Benin. It was termed as a language too sacred to be spoken outside the boundary of the Benin lands. So when any Benin man leaves, he knows that custom of not teaching outsiders the sacred language. So they tend to lose it and imbibe the languages of their neighbors, because there is no abomination when he speaks it as a Benin man, but there is an abomination when he teaches that language to those who are not Benins. So it was because of that those who left Benin preferred to imbibe the languages of
Their neighbors.
Rather than the languages they have. Because of the sacredness, you know, Benin is still, there's a popular saying, Agasedu Edo Yiri. If you get to Edo, it's still very far. And we are, the major reason that our monarchy, our traditions and culture is still held in high esteem till date is because of so much sacredness and secrecy till date. So this is one of the stories you should know, because you know Benins are the most powerful people on earth, so they cannot fathom a foreigner speaking the same language with them. It was an abomination. I don't know whether you understand. So there was a law, an outstanding law. When you eventually leave for whatever historical reasons, for whatever that transpired that made you wrong and all that, or left voluntarily to establish your own plans and all that, you must not allow anybody, you must not teach anybody your language, because it's like a secret language that we must use to connect. The foreigner must not learn our secrets. Now there's a parable encoded in Benin. Ginozekara zeka. Ginozudura zudo amazevo tawi. What that means, I'm going to explain. If you're an Eka speaker, speak Eka. If you're an Udo speaker, speak Udo. If you don't speak your language, you're more like a foregone person. Now that means we cherish the sacredness of language. We will not allow you speak ours. We will not also take yours from you. That was why every single kingdoms that Benin conquered, we never enforced our language. Otherwise, the entire southern part of Nigeria would have been speaking Benin. So there seems not to be any place that we didn't conquer. But however, we understand the sacredness of language. So the other thing we understand is that, okay, you want to meet people in their houses, you beat them hands down. You still will take their language from them, because I understand that the most fundamental aspect of human's identity is languages. So, having defeated them in their home, you are not supposed to take that most important part of their culture, which is language. Just beat them, take over their leadership. I don't really understand. Yeah. So if it was by enforcing of language, however, we quarrel all the time, we quarrel all the time that our ancestors made mistakes for not enforcing their language. But however, they understood humanity better than us. I have defeated you, I still will take the language from you. That is inhuman. Inhuman. So let me beat this guy, but let me not take his identity from him. You can be who you are, but the only thing, the Oba was just interested. Every year, come and be paying your homage. When you don't pay homage, bring war to you. Come and be paying homage. That's the only thing they were interested. So we're not interested in taking people's language, because our language was also dear to us. So every other people's language, we also knew how dear it can be. Today now we now see that just few years after the British came, sharing southern part of Nigeria, some half. Edo and Delta was under Old Western region. As soon as it was under Old Western region, the only thing Yorubas wanted to do is to enforce the Yoruba language on us. Yes, they forced some part of Omo, Yafuze, Far Edo North, to speak Yoruba. Those people still speak Yoruba till date. If you don't speak Yoruba at one point in time, you are not allowed to be a regional parastatus. These are people who are tribalistic. The same thing Igbos do all the time. Spend some few years in their house, they want to enforce their language upon you. The Benins had 600 to 700 years to do that, yet we never did. Now power was given, we understood what power should be. Now power was just given to these people for less than 50 years. They want to just tribalize everything. I think that's why Nigeria is not working. Because when you have this set of people who doesn't think beyond their tribal cycle, you are bound to have country that will not succeed. So Benin had a country that was perfect because they understood what leadership should be all about. And every one of us must be proud for being a Benin man. That doesn't take our Iwurhuohna. I'm also an Iwurhuohna person. So I should start learning the language. So Mecca, you use Mecca. When name Mecca. He uses that a lot for me. So I'm really excited. I think we still have one question. So I'll just take the last question.
I'm Mika.
Yeah.
I'm Mika.
Yeah.
President, I greet you.
Thank you very much.
By name, Amadi Christopher C.
That's all that Benin name. Amadi is a Benin name. Okay.
My question.
I'm sorry, I had to call you short. What's the meaning of that? Stop yourself. I want to learn your language.
What? It's not that.
I'm including, because all the while I've seen women, but the greeting is not including them, so I greeted to include all of the women.
It's something else, that's what I'm stopping. So that's just when I speak, I really tell me how to do.
Thank you very much. My question is, this movement, I like it. However, I'm a goal-getter. I like purpose. I'm purpose-driven. And that is where I'm asking, my question is driven from. What is the short-time and the long-time goal of this movement? That is one. And two, as a means of sustainability, we have discovered that one thing about our government is that government comes today, when another government comes, it abandons the project or whatever the program is and goes on to another program. As a means of sustainability, I am suggesting, this is a suggestion now, that we can go into where you made mention about the literal materials as history book, compilation of all of that, where we can also do a little deliberate, intentional action to put that into the educational sector as primary, secondary, maybe also the tertiary system, so that can help us to sustain this movement beyond the place.
All right, thank you very much. Me and Emeka, we've spoken for a while. We had an incredible, intelligent ancestors. At the time when the Portuguese came, all right, they first visited Benin, 1472. All right, he didn't spend some time. Sequeira left, and Diabero came in 1485. Diabero spent his later part of life and died in Benin and was buried at Iwurhuohna, the Portuguese. Now, they came with all their sweet talks and ideas. And the Oba at that time said, I don't understand the ways of these people. In order for me to understand the ways of these people, let me also have my own people visiting Portugal. So the Benin were the first to have an ambassador in this part of the world. So ambassadors were sent, Benin natives, to learn. An embassy was created in Lisbon, and in turn, the Portuguese just created an embassy in Benin. Diplomatic ties. Me and Emeka spoke about that there should be infusion of ideas of IFM in GBD and GBD in IFM. The reason is because you talked about short term and long term. The short term goals of GBD is we don't know how Nigeria will be tomorrow. We don't. Whether it survives beyond 50 years, whether it survives beyond 100 years. Should in case it doesn't survive, the Yorubas will not claim Oduduwa are going to come Oduduwa Republic, isn't it? Because we are not united, and that's why some people are just saying Biafra. Oh yeah, Iwurhuohna, come here. Come here. Because we don't have a concerted effort on our own. Now, when we have identified all 50 ethnic nationalities in Nigeria that have Benin ancestry. If we bring all these people together, do you think any Oduduwa, any Biafra will be able to match us in wealth, in education, in every ramification? That could be the long-term goal. But the short-term goal is we have to first of all put in our consciousness how ancestrally connected we all are. It's only when you are comfortable as an Iwurhuohna man that you are ancestrally Benin man that you want to do something that concerns Benin. So that is the short-term goal. Education. Educating our minds of our connectivity, how ancestrally connected we are. Then after we've been able to consciously educate our minds that we are actually one equal people, then we can be able to say, okay, fine, let's have one agenda and let's pursue it. With unity, we'll be able to achieve it. That's a long-term goal. Short-term goal, education, long-term goal. Coming and having a futuristic agenda. It could be anything. We are just starting it. It could be that we want to declare a nation of ours.